Righty-ho, for the second time today, but it all changes now. Happiness. Now, I care about this because I don't want to actually be long-term considered a total fool. It's a really tough one, but without planning to, I never plan anything. I just live moment by moment, mainly because I discovered everybody, certainly on this strip, who isn't a farmer, is just... Shouldn't even use the word reliable, it just doesn't exist. Anyway, to the point. So, February, Marchish, yeah, so I was walking the path. I'm actually spending... No, happiness, it's important to give you your symbolic times. I had no idea this year, that I would be so absurdly happy at a surface, ephemeral, human-to-human level, meeting and spending great time with loads of Europeans. Now that sounds a hate crime against the British. It just so happens that I've spent 20 years of my life mainly living among Europeans. And I'm sorry to say, the mental health, all of these things, the way they are with kids. I've just been listening, actually, accidentally, to Woman's Hour this afternoon. It's worth listening to. God, it's so dire. But then I actually laughed. There was a really groovy woman who had hair loss, and she actually, it's for the first time I've heard in this awful country for a long time. She made a self-deprecating joke, how she even slept upside down to try and get her hair to grow back. Perimenopause, all this, that and the other. Anyway, forget all that. Yeah. So there's the kind of ephemeral, situational happiness of something I had no idea I could encounter ever again in Britain, spending loads of time with Europeans, and my special walking site has films of me, particularly I went walking with one just incredible woman who just was it was like a day having, even though I don't drink champagne, and I certainly grew out of drugs about 35 years ago, longer actually. Yeah, it's like, it was just being on joy juice all day. She was such good fun, and she was taking a little bit of film of herself, so we ended up taking bits and bobs of film. Just not in a kind of naff social media way, no. She, like me, actually is a philosopher. There you go, good for me. But happiness. Yeah, so for a few months, February and March, I was trying to do into my Substack audio, which is my favoured format. And please, hours of waffle. You have to start at the beginning, but you have to read some of this as well for it to make any sense. Whatever, who cares? I don't care. I just put a record of things for my incredibly literary, intelligent daughter. Maybe in 10 years, 20 years, she will find them useful. Most important thing of all. Hey, because it ain't my nest, I haven't been destroyed. If you can say that to somebody, I think that is actually the definition of freedom. Having known a lot of codependents, I ain't. Right, to the point. Happiness, yeah. So, for a few minutes, I think I got some good stuff. You know, like the ancient Greeks, Plato or Epicurus or all those people. I got some good stuff. But then, over the last month, I kind of have a different kind of happiness that's more based on, it's not based on Europeans actually, it's based on just having really settled into a mode of, I give up on everybody, but it's not just the walking and all of this crap, cheap pop science of the endorphins do this, that. I have studied proper science and thought about it and thought behind it. And anyway, most of the science is wrong. There is a magnificent recent talk, I forget who by, I'll put it up at some point. Basically, all of an Einsteinian science is like, actually, might be a bit fundamentally fuckerated. Right, happiness. Yeah, I know why I turned the camera on. For the real reason. Because there's the really hard thing to put in. Because I was talking to somebody. I trust farmers just to have a good talk. But anyway, I was talking to somebody and I threw into the ring happiness. But that's the problem. What is it? You have your Gabor Mates, all of these people who, well, they've kind of exploded the last 10 or 15 years. The problem is, without a doubt, there is aiming for happiness. Myself, I can't remember, I think I put an audio on my other site. I'm going to marry them together at some point. I happen to get lucky. The last thing in the whole world I ever expected, I would respond to, not just emotionally, but mind, body, soul, everything. Age 30, I happen to spend some time. I happen to meet randomly a woman with 2 young children, and I just fell in love with the children. It's like, I didn't understand these. I've never had anything to do with any of these. God, what do I do with them? I'll break them. And then within 10 minutes, but they're such good fun. Changed my life entirely. But it's not just that. That's the joy side, and that gives you purpose. And this is the hardest thing to say. It's the hardest thing. Yeah, because I mentioned to somebody, as I do occasionally, very rarely, from 2005 until, well, actually, I did 4 days in April this year. From 2005 for 10 years regularly, part-time, 10 to 15 hours a week on average, although it will work out 30 hours one week and then not so many hours the week I had my daughter. I did lay legaling on behalf of people really in a mess. Forget the legal part, it was actually really last resort therapists for people truly at the worst point in life. They may lose their children. They were in total shock. Worse than being in a concentration camp. You don't get anything back from them, etc. Anyway, they couldn't. Nobody was there. The legal system's appalling. The legal aid lawyers appalling. I just got quite good. At first, I didn't enjoy it at all. I wasn't very good at it. I just did that for 10 years. But then I kind of carried on doing it. In fact, in 2020, I'd been dealing with Europe for a few years, but in 2020, I revved up and was helping properly. Nobody else was able to just focus on the needs of quite half a dozen parents. That doesn't sound many, but each one takes 20-30 hours of your life, and it's not fun, and it's nerve-wracking, and you think that guy might fucking punch you because he's in such a bad way. Anyway, so I tried to help some people with kids in a real mess. Bottom line, I've spent about 2,000 hours, I suppose, in the last 18 years. I had a couple of years where I didn't really do it. Just being this role, and it worked out. They were meant to pay me expenses. Now half of them couldn't. It worked out literally £4 an hour on average. In other words, coffee, a bit of diesel, and a bit of a smoke to just survive. The problem is that is part of it. Not being Mother Teresa, not being Jesus. Jesus didn't exist, and his followers, God, they're useless. I know quite a few. It's just, it's not community. It's just, if you've got developed the skill to be a bit of first aid, and just maybe sometimes, because most of them couldn't listen, they were in such a mess. They listened, but they fell to pieces. Nothing to do with me. They were going to fall to pieces anyway. Occasionally, you have a success, and yeah, no, I had a few successes. There's a woman in London, a woman and a father in London, who 5-6 years ago got their 3 children back one by one. 2 of them were taken from her at birth. And they shouldn't have been. I had 5 or 6 years of being her punch ball. She was right wacky, and then she got sorted out, and it worked out. It's not any great pride, it's not any great esteem, and the worst thing about it is nobody understands it. They don't understand this care and social services system. I understood it intimately, so I could be of service. But to me, even saying being of service to your fellow human beings, that sounds too pious and Mother Teresa, and anybody watching this will think, God, what a tosser this guy is. But at least I'm not fucking Russell Brand, who I happened to see a video of last night with Jordan Peterson saying, vote for Trump, and he's got his hair dyed and he's turned Christian. One thing I can promise, if I ever become such a fucking hypocrite, I will go over the cliff. And I don't want to be anybody anyway. I just want to lay out the genuine, authentic journey of somebody who's survived all the creeps like Russell Brand, even though I ran away from them 30 years ago. But unfortunately they have poisoned and perverted our society. There is nothing useful in them. Yeah, so happiness. Right, I'm going to tie together, and as I said, I got a few months of making bits of video. They're more audio, actually, more audio. I've just got to sort some out, because I'm keeping some for my site, which is just on chugging along with momentum. But happiness, you know you're happy when a really shit day, but it's like, wow, this is just what I need. Just to be. Totally organised. All that matters is getting my ongoing to-do list, which is all only connected with ralphschism.com and my other little site. Why? I had no idea I was going to have 1 subscriber. Might end up in a year that can be a little trickle of income in, and I can apply for a digital nomad passport in Croatia, where they only need to see 10 grand of income. I don't trust anybody though, so probably the majority of people watching have got malicious intent. Yeah, fuck you. Nothing to do with me. I'm happy here. That's what happiness is. Just being totally and utterly content. I am totally content. All that matters is I had a lunchtime nap. That's it. And I got stuff to chug along with, keeping me going. Oops! Is it still going? Oh yes! See, I never asked for any money from anybody. Some guy texted me about 4 months ago and said he put something in. I texted him back and never came. Yeah, 3 years I've not had an arrest. Now obviously, you could actually probably get me arrested for this if you want. NFU insurance. I just left it at my old address. I've managed to I never told them. NFU insurance have simply saved my life. They don't charge extra for monthly direct debit. They don't charge to make any change to your doodah. Farmers. Even I found out some things about farming in the last week that slightly surprised me. But that's got nothing to do with me. I've just got to catch up with some stuff that I wanted to put up. Stuff about loneliness. That might help other people. Blah, blah, blah. And there's nothing worse than thinking you can help anybody by the screen. Because books help you. Books, proper books. But nobody reads anymore, I know that. So try and put a few useful things that probably should go into a book on the screen instead. And what can I say? Yes, there's bits missing. There's the bits that make me happy. I've had such a happy, particularly July and August, doing a lot of walking. And I've got a few witterings while walking. They'll come up soon. It takes time.